Yeah. What happens if Biden wins the White House and the Republicans maintain the Senate? I mean, what happens to the plans, to any of these sectors that would be moving one way or the other when it becomes much more difficult in any sort of a split? Or if Trump were to win the White House and the Democrats take the Senate? I don't know anybody who's kind of played out any of those things.
Yeah, we're trying to, to me, the most dangerous, and I say this with all due respect to the viewers, I think the most dangerous outcome would be a blue wave. And I say that because the plans to increase taxes across the board, income, dividends, capital gains, corporate taxes, I think this is a very inopportune time. If there's ever an opportune time to do it, this is certainly an inopportune time. I think if you get a Biden win and a split Congress, the market will probably like that in the short term, to the extent to which they'll say, listen, we'll get all the spending without many of the tax increases because they won't be able to get through Congress. I think similarly, if Trump were to win, in my opinion, it's a bullish sign for the markets. It's probably much more bullish for cyclicals because people would start to think that the lockdowns would end sooner, and you would definitely not get the tax increases that you might get, or would be a fear under a Biden presidency. I think the regulatory environment, too, is something that the two parties are pretty far apart on.
Jason, there's a lot of different issues that the Democrats have said they've wanted to focus on. It's not just taxes. You've also got health care, wanting to change the things that have been undone for Obamacare. You've got the Supreme Court. Do you think, it's pretty difficult to do that sort of heavy lifting, and especially to do it in 2 years and get things passed. What do you think is their top priority? Would taxes come first, or would something else?
I don't know, Becky, I don't know. And I'll say I'm, just for purposes of full disclosure, I'm a Republican. And so I'm not quite sure what the first priority of the Democrats would be. It sounds like tax increases are a big part of that, and more spending. On the Republican side, it's just more spending. And I also think there would be some tax cuts, just based on the people I know in the administration, that they would actually look to sort of supply side tax cuts to spur economic growth and grow ourselves out.
That's not going to happen if they don't have the House.
The debt problem. No, it would only happen if you really had a sweep. But that's definitely the attitude, or at least the direction that they would take it in. But I don't, Becky, I don't know. You might have to ask Jason Furman or someone else on the other side what the primary focus would be.
Jason,
yes, sir.
Jason, can I ask you, as somebody who has supported the Republican Party for a very, very long time, is your sense that I appreciate that spending without taxes would be good for the markets, at least in a short-termish way. My question is actually whether somebody like yourself, who's often talked about being a conservative and has often talked about the debt in this country, would actually support a policy like that.
Andrew, my own personal feeling, I know this might be controversial, but I think the best stimulus for the economy is to reopen the economy. I think it's to keep the vulnerable people safe. And to reopen the economy as much as possible. This is not sustainable, what we're doing right now. The deficit, as you know, last year was $3 trillion. And if you keep a good portion of the economy locked down, like New York and California, or large parts of it, that is just for openers. This is not something, even past this stimulus package, you're going to need more stimulus packages after that. If you're going to continue to pursue this,
so are you advocating Are you advocating what Dr. Scott Atlas at the White House, who's been telling President Trump to pursue almost a herd immunity approach, which obviously there are a lot of critics of that approach?
Yeah, and listen, I think my own opinion is that you have, as an economist or someone that runs an economic shop, the one thing I will say is you have to balance the costs versus the benefits. And I think now, 7 months into the lockdown, there are significant costs that we're finding to the lockdown, not only economically, but in terms of socially, also from a mental health perspective. And that's all I would urge. Again, everyone says, as I'm not an epidemiologist, right? So I'm not a doctor, but from my perspective, the things that I feel like I know about, I feel very strongly about balancing both costs and benefits. And I think there's been a very strong focus on the benefits of the lockdowns, which have been clear, but there are also a lot of costs as well. And I think those need to be factored in.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.